Um, Hello there. So this video is going to be based on white repertoire and basic first moves and systems that white usually plays, or is something comfortable that beginners can get used to if they're not used to playing with white. Since there are a lot more options with black usually, because you're responding. For example, you have E4, you have so many moves. You have the Caro, Sicilian, French, you have D6, you even have this move. You have plenty of moves. You also have E5. You have plenty of moves. But usually with white, there's only 3 moves people play or so. This, and the knights. Maybe sometimes fianchettoing the pawns. But usually there's not too much variation. People don't know what to play most of the times. Because you might get tired of just playing E4, E5, and stuff like this, like a four nets game. Eventually this is going to become boring. This is a boring opening. It's just super duper solid. 0.0, no gambits, no fun. So you have that can, broaden your horizons to other ways to play. So first off, we're gonna start with I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I like this. It's called the Reti. I'm hoping he pronounces this right. I'm not good at French. Reti opening. This is a good move. It's very flexible. It is a bit old. Popularized by Reti. That's a chess player. Basically, his idea was to try to control central squares with his pieces, not his pawns. So usually a common move here is usually moving the queen pawn. You have the Park invitation, and then you also have 5 and the Roti gambit, which is usually if they play d4. My plan always is to play the Roti gambit, which is with c4. If they takes, you play e3. If they do not take, which is I see players struggling a lot with, you play this instead, the advanced variation. I recommend b4. The reason for b4 is they can no longer defend this pawn with another pawn, and they can't defend it with this pawn either because that's just a free pawn here. The only way to get that started is to play this and then try to play this. But after that, you're just going to immediately try to go for this pawn by fianchettoing the bishop, or you can just play d5 or b5, because this is also attacking your pawn. You got to be careful of that. So b5 is a good move. The knight might try to go here. Might try to go to a5. Could go to b4. Could go here, or you can just go back to where it came from, which is not a good move. Usually they're going to play e5, and then after that, just play e3. They play d3. They're going to play fx3. Prefer not to play necessarily dxe3 because then you have queen e1, king f3. You no longer castle, and your king is wide in the open. So I gotta recommend playing e3 at some point with takes, and your king will be okay. Don't worry about getting castle and all that. It's fine. Play e5, play knight c3, and you're good. Just play normally. Now, anyway, let's say they don't play knight. Let's say they don't play this. Let's say they play knight f6 instead. You're going to you're going to play e3, or you can fianchetto the bishop and attack it. It's a little bit worse, but it's not that bad because after they play c5, you can take, but then they have knight c6, and the position it could go either or. But usually you don't want to take this right away. I don't fully recommend fianchettoing the bishop, but I do recommend e3. So let's say they do this. I think fianchettoing the bishop is a little bit better now. A little bit better. Because now it doesn't matter too much. Just this g7, you have d3, and then you can eventually take this pawn. You can put more pressure on this pawn eventually, and then you will be okay. Alright, so that's the Rati opening. Oh yeah, these also are a few mentions. There also are a few mentions. Ross Gambit. always take. Don't be afraid. This opening is not that good. Usually they play d6. You'll play back to f3 and you're just up a pawn. And you have more activity. So if you play the Ross Gambit, always take. If you ever play against this, the Urstrom, this is a little bit, yeah, you should probably just always take. You play e5, go back, or you can play d4, and it's fine. Alright, now we got the Reti opening. Let's do something a little bit different. This actually involves Reti opening, but this is completely different. This is called the KIA, King's Indian Attack. Now, if you've ever played the King's Indian Defense, which is just a d4 Indian game, knight f6, and then you're going to try to put the pawn here, put the bishop here, play d6. It's literally the exact same thing, but with white. And usually black's ideas are to play c5. So let me just show you what that would look like. Let me just show you typical King's Indian Defense. Not that, sorry. This. This is the typical King's Indian Defense. Now, usually you're going to try to castle and then try to play c5, or you can try to pin the bishop. If they do this, usually e5 or c5 are both good. Now you're probably wondering, well, what if they take? What do you do? If they take, then you just play dx c5. What if your king isn't castled? What if your king is not castled and you play something like this? What would you play then? Well, usually you want to get your king castled first. Always get your king castled first before you try to play c5 or e5 in the King's Indian Defense. Because if you don't, then your king. Let me show you. Let me show you an example. Where was I? Yeah. All right. Now, if you do this before your king is castled, it's a bit early. Because takes, and now your king can no longer castle. He's gonna play someone like this, and he's gonna probably long castle check. He doesn't have to do that necessarily. You can also just play rook b1 check. So usually, get your king castle first before you play c5 or e5. But these are the main ideas in the King's Indian Defense. Let's go back to the Reti opening. King KIA. This is literally the same exact thing, but we're playing it with white, which means you have a tempo extra. So this same ideas. Looking for c5, sorry, not c5, c4. Looking for e4. Get your king castle first. Always get your king castle first. Then you're gonna try to play for c5 or e5. So that's the King in Defense and the KIA for you. Alright, so that's everything to do with the Reti. The Vanguard opening, I'll discuss this probably in a later video, because this is basically a computer opening. No one really plays the Vanguard. Anyways, let's do something a little bit different. Let's do the London system. So in the London system, your third move should always be e3, and your idea is to put the knight here, knight b, put on d2, and you're trying to play knight f3. You're gonna play this to make a big pyramid of pawns. You make a large pyramid of pawns after you play this. So let me just show you what that would look like. This, you have this. You don't have to. You can. If they. Oh yeah. Let me show you something. If they play bishop d3, instead of forget the pyramid, you want to play c5. Not sorry, e5. Sorry, c4. You're gonna want to play c4. If they play this move specifically, if they copy you, this is what you want to do. Anyways, let's say they do not copy you. Say they play this. You're going to play. You're gonna play for knight d2. Say they try fianchetto. You're going to. Oh yeah, this is a good way to play against the King's Indian Defense. By the way, if you're playing against the Indian game, this is a good way to play against it. You're going to want to play knight f3. They defend each other. So if pin, then you're fine. Just move the queen somewhere. You're gonna try to play for Now you're going to play c3. You've made your pyramid of pawns. Hooray. And now you're always going to put your bishop here. Boom, that's the London system for you. You're done. Castle, and then everything's up to you. I do have one important thing to add. If they ever attack your... Do not let them attack your bishop like this in the London system. Because you could also just play bishop g5 in this position, which is not bad. Not bad. Even after they kick you out, they weaken the king. They try to kick you out, they weaken the king. So bishop g5 is a good move if they put them right here. But if the bishop is here, so let's just play a complete random move. Let's say the bishop is here. And let's just say it's defended. Okay, let's just say this bishop's defended. And they're going to play here. So you want to move your bishop, you want to move it back. And then, yeah, just try to make a little hole for your bishop here if they ever can attack your bishop again. If they ever can. Make a little hole for your bishop here. It also makes a loft for your king in the future. It's bad for black, but I'm just trying to show you an example. I mean, bad for white. I'm trying to show you an example. So if you have your king, a loft is basically you can never get bankrupt mated because your king will always have an escape square, and you put your bishop here as well. That's the London system. And now I have one more thing to discuss. We have d4, d5, and we have the queen's gambit. Now the queen's gambit is a very let's say complicated opening, but it can be very simple if you just learn the basic ideas. So obviously, if they play queen's gambit accepted, you're gonna play e3, or you can play for e4, which are both okay, both fine. For some reason, the computer likes e3 a bit better, a little bit less reserved, a little bit more passive, I feel. And you're gonna try to win this pawn. If they play b5, you're gonna play a4 takes. You play takes, and then they play I don't know, anything move, and then you're gonna get this pawn on the next move. Unless they play this. All right, and that's basically the white repertoire for you. I'm gonna do a black repertoire after this video, which is gonna be a lot more openings and longer. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye bye.